So it seems that everybody is now sick to death of Jon Jones being a pathetic coward, ducking cunt. So why is it that everybody is now fed up of Jon Jones being the lamest, most pathetic champion we've ever seen in our entire lives? Which is saying a lot considering we've had Nico Montano as champion before. And we've had Carla Esparza be a 2-time champion. And Juliana Pena is currently a champion. Not to make this like a whole woman thing. Not to be fair, not that that's going to stop Jones anyway. And maybe I should be sick of making all of these Jon Jones videos. But hey, it's Pride Month, so how can I not dedicate a video to the GOAT of the sport and the pride of Pride Month, Jon Jones? And people can joke, they can discriminate, but at the end of the day, we should all be inclusive to one another. We should be accepting of all people in this sport. And shout out to John McCarthy for even going out of his way to share his stories with the struggles Jon Jones has faced being the person that he is.
When I went into John's locker room, he's, bouncing around, he's having a good time. And so I got a question for you. I said, yeah, what's your question? And he says, I need somebody. And there's an individual there, and that individual was a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and was working for the commission. And he says, is someone getting on the ground for me, right? And so this guy, being a ground guy and being someone that was, man, I'm in Jon Jones's locker room. This is great. And so he says, oh, I'll do it for you. He says, I know how to roll. And so he goes down. He says, just put me in guard, right? And then John decides to do a sexual act with him, saying, what if I do this, right? This isn't illegal, right? And the guy who was on the ground, quickly his eyes went, as big as they could get. Like, what are you doing? And I said, John, knock it off, right? And I helped the person up. And he goes, I'm just joking. This is why John and I never really got along. Because I didn't put up with his shit. Greg Jackson comes up to me and says, John, I'm sorry he did that. And I go, Greg, it ain't you. And I go, he's just a dipshit.
What? Knock it off, John. There's Jon Jones in someone backstage. What is going on?
So even when he's gay, he's a degenerate freak. What the fuck? Also, it being Men's Mental Health Month, so shout out to Tom Aspinall. I'm sure we can do with all the mental help he can get right now, along with all the Jon Jones victims out there. But yeah, a lot has happened since the previous Jon Jones video a couple weeks ago, like Jon continuing to live his best life out in Thailand in a different continent from his family while playing with a bunch of other grown men in a swimming pool. We got UFC 316 on the horizon, and I'm seeing Khabib hang out with Thierry Henry and Aisho Speed at the UEFA Champions League final. Never thought I'd ever say that in my life. And last but not least, Tom Aspinall still sitting on his ass, just waiting on any kind of fight to come his way. So, pretty much the usual Jon Jones ducking bullshit been happening. So I'm not joking when I say I think everyone is just sick of Jon Jones at this point. I mean, John McCarthy's coming out and saying how Jon Jones basically SA'd a man, and no one seems to care. It's just another day for Jon Jones. I mean, even Jon Jones ducking, we're over it, I mean, he can't even make headlines by SAing a man. But Khabib not shaking a woman's hand, that's breaking the internet. And after all the videos I've made making jokes about Jon Jones being the real-life Homelander, I think it's time to pack that up. At least Homelander's a fictional character, and a good one at that. Jon Jones is just straight up the Diddy of the MMA world. And I think I'm willing to speak for everyone when I say we're willing to let the Diddy stuff go if we can just get some kind of conclusion to this whole ducking saga. I mean, even the nicest guy in MMA is f***ing sick of this shit.
What do you reckon about this, man? Are they going to fight, or is he just done?
Honestly, who cares now? When we first started speaking about this many moons ago, how I was like, no one's stripping Jones. You can't do that to him. But mate, come on, you're taking the piss now. You're taking the piss now. I'm done. I'm done with waiting. It's like, yeah, it's like Elder Scrolls 6, dude. It's just like, you know what I mean? Just... You gotta have to play something else, man.
You got many other fighters sick of Jon Jones ducking. We've even got fighters making skits about Jon Jones ducking.
Hey guys, I got a petition going to strip Jon Jones of his belt. He hasn't fought in a while, and I just want to get the division moving, give Tom Aspinall a shot.
Strip Jon Jones? You gotta be crazy. Jon Jones is the GOAT. This guy was the youngest champ of all time.
You talking about the 28-1 Jon Jones?
Oh, you talking about the Jon Jones that defended his title 12 times, Jon Jones? Man, ain't nobody signing that junk. Yeah, Petey, get out of here. Hold on, man. Yeah, Derek.
You know, granted, skits aren't really MMA fighters' strong point, but you get the idea. The petition to strip Jon Jones is now reaching 200K, which is insane. If this was a UK petition, they'd have to legally debate this in Parliament. And in a shocking turn of events, Jon Jones fans have bounced back by making their own petition for them to keep Jon Jones having the belt.
So I'm the one that started this petition for Jon Jones to keep his heavyweight belt in response to somebody starting a petition for Jon Jones to be stripped of his heavyweight UFC belt. And yes, the OG MMA fans like myself, we are fighting back with a petition of our own.
Yeah, I don't think being a Jon Jones fan makes you an OG. I think it just makes you weird. I don't know, it's just such a little bitchy, insecure thing to even bring up. It's irrelevant if you're a new fan or not. I've become a UFC fan since UFC Undisputed 2009. So I've been a fan before Jones came around. I don't know if that qualifies me to be an OG or not. I don't really make that point because I think it's fucking lame. But I and many others that have been fans for that long can tell you he is absolutely ducking and should absolutely be stripped.
The point of this petition is to get more than 160,000 signatures. We need to surpass the petition for Jon Jones to be stripped of the heavyweight belt because he deserves to keep the belt.
And to no one's surprise, after an entire week, they couldn't even reach 1,000 signatures. Get fucked, you loser freaks. Like genuinely, it's not even competitive. It's not even remotely close. You couldn't even get 1,000 signatures. What a bunch of fucking losers. And I understand these petitions don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. At most, an MMA media member will bring it up to Dana White at a presser where he'll cover up one ear being deaf, being like, huh, what kid? And then the MMA media member will get awkward, laugh it off, and move on without elaborating on it. And that kind of be the end of it. But at the very least, it really does put into perspective how much of the majority of the MMA community cannot stand this ducking fraud anymore. And as much as MMA fans seem to get a bad rap, even by MMA fans themselves, I, for one, think this whole situation has brought us all closer together and distanced ourselves from those weird-smelling Jon Jones fans. But where do we stand on the two sides of the equations, that being Jon Jones and Aspinall right now? As for Jon Jones, he's doing what he does best, tweeting. Just wrapped up the biggest seminar in Phuket. I have no idea how to pronounce this location, I'm sorry. History. Half the crowd flew in from the UK. How wild is that? Massive shout out to my guy Tom for all the free promo. Couldn't have done it without you. The guy definitely isn't salty in any way. And if you haven't seen it already or weren't aware, this is the seminar in question where, you know, half the British crowd were asking Jones questions like, when is he going to fight Aspinall?
When are you fighting Tom?
I was waiting for it.
When are you fighting time, like, governor?
The UFC in town, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know if you picked up on Jon Jones doing an impression of the guy by saying governor.
When are you fighting time, like, governor?
He's Australian, you dumb fuck. Now, hey, Jon Jones may be telling the truth, and maybe the fight's happening. Me, for one, I stand on the fact that I don't think this fight will ever happen. I don't think Jon Jones will ever take this fight, and I don't think he'll ever win this fight. However, I, for one, think he's genuinely lying to the crowd so they don't get upset by the fact that he's going to tell them he's not going to fight Aspinall. So I think he's lied to them just to make them happy enough to where they don't ask the questions anymore, which might just be the most pathetic thing he's done in this entire situation. Because in all the other clips we see of Jon Jones and tweets saying that he's done, when it comes to a crowd of British people that are Australian people, he has the complete opposite to say. So yeah, absolute ducking coward. And despite this British crowd made up of Australian people, still didn't stop Aspinall from replying with his appreciation, saying, "My pleasure, John. Told you I'm not an arsehole. Glad you're enjoying retirement. Thumbs up, duck." Whilst also completely ratioing him on his own tweet. Just honestly, I really don't know how much more embarrassing this can get for Jon Jones, but he's doing his best at it. Hell, even in these recent interviews, he's telling the complete opposite of what he's willing to tell the, you know, British Australian fans.
Could we expect one more rodeo?
You know, I don't know what life holds as far as fighting and competing. There's a lot of great competition still in the UFC.
I mean, sure, but you're not willing to fight them, so it's kind of irrelevant. And regarding Aspinall, well, we've had quite the character development over here. After a year of humbly, respectfully trying to call out the champion after, you know, defending the interim belt, not working whatsoever for years, he's now resorted to new skits and just kind of talking his shit. On the DC and Chael show, saying that Jones is retired and he just wants to move on with the division and get it moving, and supposedly has a date and location, along with wanting to fight twice this year. So I would suspect if he's telling the truth, then there's no way they're waiting for him at Madison Square Garden in November if he wants to get 2 fights in. What, is he going to fight November and December? Maybe he could, since he's just killing everyone in the division, but I don't think so. But ultimately, for those of us on the right side of history here, which is the vast majority of MMA fans, especially if the petition's anything to go by, then I think I speak for everybody when I say, we just want Aspinall fight news. We don't even care about Jon Jones anymore, unless Dana's going to pay up to have his boy get brutally knocked out in Madison Square Garden, or fuck it anywhere, do it on the streets for all I care, BJ Penn style. Unless Jon Jones is going to get knocked out by Tom Aspinall, I really don't care about him. I think we're all willing to move on from this ducking fraud ditty of MMA and get things moving in this shit fat ass division, and Aspinall save us all. So yeah. See you next week on the next Jon Jones video.
Sign up to my boy's YouTube channel. That is JG2. And for those who don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C too.